currently exam results season in the UK, a time of high emotions. Maybe you got the results you were expecting. Maybe you did far better than you were expecting. Or maybe you only made it through to one exam before paralysing your arms, being rushed into hospital, and told by a consultant that you really couldn't continue with your exams because it would probably kill you. Relatable content, huh? Subscribe if you haven't already. There are lots of amazing stories on YouTube about people studying really hard and achieving amazing grades. I recently made friends with some absolutely lovely study tubers, Eve, Jack, Ruby and Jade, who do a podcast together called The Wooden Spoon, and who are delightful human beings. What I'm not seeing is a lot of content about what happens when things go really wrong and how you can actually recover from that. I mean, not everyone has a smooth journey in education or even in life, and it's important that those of us who didn't complete every year like we were supposed to, or who took a very winding path to where we wanted to be, or even just dropped out and went off to do something else, know that we're not alone. So I sat down with my wife Claudia, who had an academic journey that looked like this, compared to mine, which looked like this, have a conversation about how we find the happy places that we're in today. I really want you to share your stories in the comments as well, and if you're feeling like, oh no one else has ever been in my position before, I can guarantee you that someone else will probably be able to relate. Don't be shy, and if you see someone who needs some kind words, please go share a little love with them. Remember, you are not alone, and having a wonky education is not the end of the world. You will find your way. So, on with the conversation. Hi wife.
Hi wife.
So I decided that we should have a little chat about exam results because we have incredibly different life histories when it comes to school and results. Because how many schools did you go to?
2.
How many schools did I go to?
7.
Yeah. I apologise also for my voice. I am very ill, but... So I think it's really important to talk about because a lot of the stuff around exam season and people getting results and it's all like, wow, amazing, how exciting. You know the kids they always take pictures of on exam results day and they do the jump because everyone has to have a jump photo for some reason.
Oh, I see, yeah. Like, woo,
I bet
free.
you were in a jump photo.
No, I was not.
I bet someone would have wanted to put you in a jump photo.
Probably, seeing that I was probably one of the only ethnic others white in the school. I was often in the school catalogue for that little bit of representation.
Just like bring you out. Oh, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Wait, make her Mary.
No, I think I did
We're
feature. I
diverse.
think I actually featured on the front cover.
Sure. Surrey's a diverse place. They want you to know it.
Yeah. Talking of which, that is one of the reasons why my sister and I got sent to a nice little private primary school. Yeah, we were like, why did she send us to a private primary school? Like, what is the point of spending money on primary education? Like, you know, especially when you don't have that much money. Dad was like, oh, well, when Dad was bullied when he was little.
Yeah.
And he just thought, he grew up in Dover, and anyone who was like not white was picked on because it was quite racist in his day.
The story needs to point out that your dad's is the white parent, though.
Yeah, my dad is white, yeah. He was bullied for being a boff, I guess.
Oh.
I mean, maybe he wasn't bullied, but he always, I don't know, I just assume he was. He said that was the main reason he sent me and my sister to a primary school, because he thought that, you know, the class sizes are smaller, the teachers are less likely to pick on the kids in that sense, and also the other kids would then less likely pick on. So then
Would you say you had a pretty smooth educational history? Like you went to primary school, you just changed to a secondary school,
yeah.
they taught you stuff,
Yeah, I did
you
that.
passed some tests.
Yeah, so...
Do you even remember? What were your exam results?
For what?
GCSEs, what did you get?
Well, let's start earlier. For like, what are they called? SATs.
Quick explainer for those of you who aren't British. We go to primary school from the age of 5 to 11 and secondary school from 11 to 18. We take SATs at the end of primary school, it's 11 years old, and at the end of the first 3 years of secondary school, so that's 14 years old. There are then 2 years of working towards our GCSE exams from 14 to 16, where you'll do between 5 to 10 subjects, followed by 2 years of A-level exams, that's 16 to 18, where you generally narrow down to 3 or 4 subjects.
For SATs, I think I got like, what is it, like 556 or something? Is that even a thing?
You got to do 6, you got to do the 6 paper?
Yeah.
They didn't have that in my school.
I think it was like 556. I think 6 was in science and the 5 and 5 were in math and English. Is that how it worked? I can't remember. This is a long time ago.
Science? What?
I swear we did science.
This was a while ago.
I might be making this up. I was only like 10 or 11 years old. Yeah, so I might not have got a 5 in maths because that maths was pretty bad.
Your maths is terrible.
My maths has got worse with age. Okay? I actually was going to do maths AS level. Can you remember AS levels?
Yeah, but also...
Yeah, so
really?
I was doing maths and statistics. And I decided to do that, God knows why. And there was only 3 other girls, because again, I went to a very good secondary private school where there weren't many people in the school. Anyway, there were only 3 other girls doing this class.
Yeah.
And the teacher was like, I've kind of I've gone on a bit of a tangent here. And they were like, okay, so to warm you up after the school holidays, we're going to do some GCSE level, what are they called? Equal
equations.
Yeah, equations. There was a name for them though. That type that you find out what the answer, you have to prove what the answer is. Some apparently very simple GCSE level equations. And anyway, I realised at the end of this class that I needed to not be in this class because I was on question 3 and everyone else was on question like 16, 17. One of my proudest moments was that I made a decision for myself. I know. Because my education was very much like spoon-fed. I went down to the staff room, knocked on the door and said I need to speak to the head of year. And she was like, oh, okay, is it very... And then anyway, I was like, look, I've made a wrong choice. I don't want to do math statistics. Can I change to a different subject? And she's like, what do you want to change to? And I was like, English literature. Okay, well, let's just see if it works with your timetable. And luckily it did.
Okay.
And then that was that.
Excellent.
The reason I did math statistics actually was because the careers advisor at school told me if I wanted to be an architect, which I did at the time of being 16 years old, that I would have to have maths. Because then I went to university and I met some architectural students and they were like, no, you just needed to have something that had maths in it, like chemistry or physics would have been fine. I was like, I was frickin' doing chemistry and physics. This is a lesson to be learned. Don't listen to careers advisors unless yours is particularly good.
Yeah, actually, follow your own path. You know yourself best.
Yeah. Who can dictate? Like, they're a careers advisor at a school, for God's sake. They haven't really
met you for 20
They haven't
minutes.
really got that far in life, and then they're telling you like
they've not got far. Don't listen to them.
And then they're telling you need this subject or you can't fulfill your dream job. And then if you can't do that subject, like I was with maths, I was like, well, that's it. I can't be an architect now.
It's not true.
It wasn't true.
Oh god.
Anyway, where were we?
Your exams. Did you pretty much get everything that they predicted?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah. Like I did 9 in total. I got 1 B. I got 3 A stars, 5 A's.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
1
makes
B.
9. That makes 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guess what I got a B in?
French.
No, but fair enough. History.
And then with your A levels.
And then A levels, or AS level, I did English literature and critical thinking. I got an A. God, I can't remember. This is the point.
This is the point of this video, people. It feels like it matters so much right now, but I swear to you it doesn't. Wait till you hear my story though.
It really doesn't. And then A levels, I got AAB.
Lovely.
And I got B in chemistry. No, sorry, it was 2 marks off an A. So I sent it back to be remarked. You have to pay to get it remarked. I think it's like 50 quid or something. And then they sent it back. 1 mark off an A. I was like, screw you. I should have slipped like an extra 50 quid into that envelope.
You got to university.
Got to university.
Got to do the thing you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Graduated.
Yeah.
With a
2-1.
2-1. Did another course at university.
Yeah.
Graduated with a...
honours.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, with dentistry you don't get 2-1 or first.
Oh, you don't?
You can't really be a first
Oh.
dentist. A third dentist.
You're like an okay dentist.
Yeah. No, I just passed
You
with...
passed, you failed.
You pass with like with honours. In that you get honours if you have had distinction and merit throughout each year.
But you also didn't take any breaks between your education at all.
Oh my god, no. I was at university for 7 years. It's the same amount of time I was at high school.
And you didn't take a gap year after school either.
No, or after university.
So you were in full-time education until you were 25.
Yeah.
And then you started working full-time.
On hindsight, I wish I had had a gap year. And my mum actually said to me, I think a gap year would have been good for you. Because I did art A-level and I actually think I would have really benefited from doing an art foundation year rather than being like, I've got to like go and do like a valid, worthy degree.
It has always left you with that burning passion of the question unanswered. What if?
I was very much like that in my mid-20s, like when you met
the
me.
first 3 years of our relationship.
Yeah, but I think
I need to find my passion.
And now I'm like, I'm over that. Well, I've kind of like moved more towards photography now.
Yeah.
Because
Which isn't
that's
hard.
useful to you and like it's less messy.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's either photography or like stone carving. It's like really clean or really, really messy.
My journey in education was perhaps not as smooth. Not quite the same. I was a very ill and sickly child. I was forever, there was something wrong with me, whether it was a cold or I had injured myself, which was near constant. That was what adults like to call a hypochondriac, and what I like to call doing my goddamn best. But I was very good at school. That's one thing I was very good at. I was quite a bright little child, and I really enjoyed school. I really enjoyed learning things. I used to love reading. At one point I thought I had hyperlexia, which is where you have to constantly be reading, because I just wanted to know everything about everything. I had to just, every time there were words, I just had to read them. But unfortunately, physically, school was a bit of a struggle. And throughout my primary school years, I probably went to school only 4 days a week, because I just physically, by Friday, was like, no.
You told me a different
done.
version of that story. You told me that your mother didn't believe in primary school education particularly and took you out to go to life drawing classes on Fridays.
Yeah, she did. No, I mean, by Friday I was like, I'm tired, I don't want to go to school. And she was like, okay, let's go to live drawing.
Okay, well, to be honest, that's probably quite good. You are very good at drawing now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
maybe that's why you got a love for the female form.
Yes, I became a lesbian thanks to live drawing classes. See if it works for you. And then when it came time for secondary school, I went to a lovely Quaker school that was also a private school in Somerset. Quaker values, as I explained before, are very much about equality and openness, and it was just a really good learning environment for me, but also physically was quite beneficial in that we weren't carrying around bags with like loads of books in, because our books were kept in each classroom, and just our teachers were very kind. And if I was like, I am injured, they would allow me to sit down. And I went to that school for 3 years, and it was good for my education, I'd say. I was pretty smart cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a smart cookie.
Thank you. Got to be top in the class and things. I'm not just bragging, by the way. There's an awful downfall coming. I'm just bigging myself up before it does. So I did generally quite well in all my end of year quizzes. They predicted that I was going to do very well.
You were basically a shining star, heading in the right direction.
Yes. And then unfortunately I had to change schools right before the start of my GCSEs, which was not great. And I went to an inner city comprehensive school in Bristol, which was very large and not what I was used to. Bit of a soft child, a soft human, to be honest.
Yeah.
Never really hardened up. I think my parents' idea was to toughen me up for the real world, and instead I was like, I'm a marshmallow. And so I really struggled throughout the school year. Physically as well. It was the kind of school where we weren't allowed to go inside at lunchtime. You had to be outside, even if it was snowing, and eat your little cold packed lunch.
Why? Why can't you be inside? Is there no
Because they
catering
thought
hall?
we'd do bad things.
Is there no like dining hall?
Yeah,
Why can't you be in there?
because you can't eat in there if you have a packed lunch.
Oh, that's weird.
I know. But yeah, even after you've eaten, you're then supposed to go outside and hang around
I mean, they
outside.
would do that at my school as well, like, but only really force the year 7 and 8s outside.
Probably not when it was snowing.
No, I mean, it was like, well, it was just when it was a nice day. It was like, go out and get some vitamin D, girls.
No, we had to stand outside in the rain while it poured down with rain.
Weird.
And it was a physically very demanding school because the campus was quite large, and I had to take all my books with me. For some reason, we all had books like that thick for every class, and you had to carry them with you at all times. It was just a real struggle for me to be able to learn anything because it was physically so demanding of me. And I was just getting kind of iller and iller and iller, and no one knew that anything was wrong with me. By the time I actually came to GCSEs, I think I was so exhausted from the year, I don't even remember them. I remember at the time being like, wow, everything is swimming. I feel so bad. That wasn't great. And in my old school, they predicted that for my GCSEs, I was going to get all A stars and A's. And in the end, I managed to scrape together 3 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, and 2 D's.
What did you get D's in?
French and something else.
I mean, you can't hear, so French would be a struggle.
No, yeah, and I was super deaf as well.
Yeah.
And no one noticed. That was a thing. So I would I'd be like, can I sit at the front of the class, please? Because I can't understand what's going on. The teacher would be like, sure, sit on the front row. And then everyone behind me would be yelling, and I'd be trying to work out what the hell this teacher was saying. And I thought it was just me, and I was unable to concentrate. But no, plot twist, I was deaf.
And the biggest thing that happened to me was that I said I don't want to do math stats and I wanted to do English literature. And you're like, yeah, my whole life was like medical compromise problems.
Oh, I've not even finished.
Okay.
So here's my GCSE results. Not good. I also got them while I was on holiday in Italy, in a hospital, of course, because I tore the ligament in my foot. So when I returned for sixth form, I was actually on crutches for 6 months, which was pretty difficult. And then at the end of that year, as I was about to take my very first AS exams, I leant on my arm while I was writing and paralysed both of my arms for 1.5 years. And then I went to hospital and had a medical procedure that went wrong.
I'm glad you're just
And
laughing
then I
about
dehydrated my brain. And then it took 2 years.
You didn't dehydrate your brain. The doctor that did the lumbar puncture
Thank
dehydrated
you.
your brain.
That's very kind of you. No, I didn't dehydrate.
Also, she
my
then
brain.
also went a bit brain dead.
Yeah,
Like, not all
I
of it,
actually, I
some of it.
genuinely have brain damage
Yeah.
because of that incident. Point is though,
We were
I
too bad.
begged the doctor to let me go back and take my damn exams. And he was like, it will literally kill you. No, I'm gonna put you back a year at school.
Like that's like one of the biggest like fears I think of a lot of people is to be put back a year during education.
Yeah, well, guess what? So I got put back a year. That was the AS level.
Yeah.
So I had to do it again. But I was too ill to actually go into school at all, ever. So one of my teachers, who just happened to be very kind, would occasionally come to my house and talk to me. And that was my classical civilizations A level. Which means that I now know a lot of stuff about Agamemnon. But unfortunately was not able to take any of my other classes. So at the end of the year, I had to take the exams again, still with paralysed arms, and still actually too ill to lift my head or be near light. So I had to be in a tiny dark room in my school, in the dark, so lying down on the floor with one of the school receptionists sat with a computer typing away as I dictated to her. Dictation means I spoke aloud and then she wrote it down. So that's how I did all of my exams for that year. And then the next year, because I've been put back a year, I was now in the A2 year. And I had to, again, try and struggle through that year. Didn't work out so well. Went to hospital for quite a few months during that year, actually. That year was a bit of a mess. We'll skip over it. And then we come to the next year, by which time I'm, 19? I'm 2 years behind. It's not good. I decided that the poor clutch of A-levels that I had needed to be added to because I really wanted to go to university. It was like my burning desire. I was going to go to university and I was going to have a life, which is quite a big dream for someone who literally for 2 years didn't really leave their bed. I wrote a lot of fan fiction though.
I have yet to see this fan fiction.
You'll never get to see it. So during that last year, I decided that I would take English literature. 2 years compressed into 1 year because it was something that I could teach myself at home. And at the end of that year, I took both of the English literature exams. Actually, I say both, there are probably like 6 of them. So in the end, I managed to come out with 4 A-levels.
Well done.
Thank you. There's like 3 A's and a B. And it took me 4 years and I almost died, but it happened.
Yeah.
And then I managed to talk my way into a university.
Yeah. Which you spent also 7 years at.
Yeah, which I spent 7 years at. But no, I didn't. I spent 5 years.
Oh, okay, 5 years.
I spent 5 years at university because I did the first year of university. That was a stupid idea. Why did I think you could go
Anyway,
into
when I
full-time
met
education?
you,
Almost died. And then
you were just
before-
graduating.
Yes.
Yeah. Film and, what was it? Film and studies.
Film and screen studies.
Yeah.
So now I have a job that I absolutely love and I really enjoy doing. And the thing is, whether you have a very simple educational pathway or a very complex one where it all goes a bit wrong for a while and you kind of have to do it yourself, still there will be a happy ending waiting for you. So do not panic if the exam results that you have just received are not what you were hoping.
Whatever your dream is, you'll find a way to get there. You don't need exam results to, get you to achieve that.
Yes.
It's not about the grades, it's about your mindset on how you learn. Actually, that's what is more important. That's what actually, as you get older and into higher education, that's what they're looking for.
Persevere, my friends. It is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Mwah. I hope you were able to take something from this video and that it helped you feel better and less alone if you too had a wonky education. Please do forgive us if we rambled a bit. I was not feeling my best, as you can tell from the voice. My next video will be about migraines, but I'd love to continue the conversation about schooling when you're dealing with a disability or a chronic illness, and make a video with maybe some tips on how I made it through alive. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and to turn on the notification bell. If you want to support the channel, of course, you can do so by joining the Kellgren-Fozard Club, where you'll get access to extra videos and content, and a lovely welcome bundle, along with my face after your name and custom emojis. I'll see you in my next video.